China's Premier Xi Jinping reshaping of the People's Liberation Army, military purges and political commissars. China has not fought a major war since the Sino-Vietnamese War of February 1979 over Vietnam's involvement in Cambodia. After occupying several border cities on the Vietnamese border for 3 weeks, China declared victory and withdrew, resulting in an estimated loss of 26,000 troops. Despite the Chinese declaration of victory, it was a face-saving decision as the experienced Vietnamese army fought the Chinese to a standstill and Vietnam continued its involvement in Cambodia. It was an embarrassing defeat for the People's Liberation Army, and it has not fought a war since then. Many events have transpired since 1979, and the People's Liberation Army has evolved into a significantly more advanced military force. Under Premier Xi Jinping's leadership, the PLA has become much more assertive on the world stage, but it is ready for a modern war? China's People's Liberation Army, unlike most Western armies, is not the country's national army. It is the armed part of the Chinese Communist Party, or CCP, and therefore serves the party rather than the nation. When one party, the Chinese Communist Party, exclusively rules the Chinese nation, it may seem insignificant to distinguish between the party and the nation. The same mantra rings true for the PLA and the CCP. In practice, it makes the PLA much different from the armies of most of its adversaries. The PLA's fundamental political role involves safeguarding not only the one-party nation it supports, but also upholding the CC's power above all else. Due to economic reforms initiated by Deng Xiaoping, the Chinese communist system has evolved from a pure communist system to include roles for the PLA in both foreign policy and production. Production primarily occurs in the military sector, the military-industrial complex, but it also extends to other industries of dubious legality established by influential PLA leaders for their personal gain. Despite the PLA's long-standing role, Xi Jinping has leveraged its non-military functions to further his own objectives. He employs communist ideology and anti-corruption measures to consolidate his power over the PLA, a crucial aspect of his ambitions. Premier Xi is the most committed communist since the departure of the revolutionary leaders who served alongside Mao Zedong. Xi is the most notable Chinese leader since Mao, who is obsessed with his image and committed to placing China at the pinnacle of the world as one of the world's great nations through his political ethos. Xi has demonstrated that it is his legacy that he is trying to cement, not a selfless commitment to his country or party. This does not make Premier Xi any different from a long list of despotic leaders around the world who come and go with all too much regularity. He is nothing special. What is unique is that China has the world's second largest economy, which gives Premier Xi a tremendous opportunity to make his ambitious goal of folklore immortality a reality. The challenge lies in Xi's reliance on support of his political allies, particularly the PLA, to achieve his place in history. He needs to make the PLA more capable and lethal, so he provides them all the modern weapons necessary to make them a premier military force. Therefore, he must rely on the PLA leaders' control over not only key military positions, but also within the military-industrial complex. To this end, he accepts associated corruption resulting from augmented military budgets and indirect industrial enrichment schemes, but only in exchange for PLA leadership's commitment to his philosophy and ambitions. Although anti-corruption is an important goal for the CCP, Xi has used purges under the guise of his anti-corruption campaign to remove PLA factions that may align with his CCP political opponents. He then replaces these PLA leaders with his own politically aligned factions. As long as the new PLA leaders maintains loyalty and ensures that the corrupt practices do not significantly impact effective capabilities and readiness, particularly within the PLA's Air Forces, Navy, and Rocket Forces, they can continue their corrupt practices. This has not provided Premier Xi with all the guarantees he wants from the PLA, though. Premier Xi continues to impose periodic purges, even on officials that he appointed, as a tactic to maintain control over PLA leaders through fear or, on occasion, to tackle real corruption he is struggling to eradicate when it hinders his goals. However, Xi cannot keep purging leaders in the PLA and hope to maintain their loyalty, as the PLA also serves its political positions. If the PLA becomes dissatisfied with Xi, they could threaten his position. So Xi must strike a balance between controlling the PLA in order to achieve his goals and maintaining their loyalty. Premier Xi, China's most communist leader for generations, has adopted a tried-and-true strategy from previous communist regimes. He has introduced and promoted the influence of political officers within military ranks. The political officer serves in a leadership position, and nearly all command positions have a corresponding political officer. In some units, particularly the ground forces, the political officer is a second in command regular army officer who is responsible for political compliance and training, while the actual commander is responsible for military operations. In higher profile roles, like a nuclear-armed submarine or in the rocket forces, the political officer holds equal power to assigned commander, bypassing the military command structure. This arrangement enables Xi to establish a structure that helps maintain military control over commanders and ensures their duties align with Xi's objectives. As stated at the beginning, the PLA has not fought a war since 1979, and it has not won one since 1949. The addition of political officers will ensure the PLA's political reliability, preventing the need for excessive purges that could erode PLA's and its factions' allies' political support. The issue arises from the co-command structure of a commissar system, which introduces a new decision element into a command decision process. This may not matter much in peacetime, but it can make a big difference on the battlefield. The modern battlefield emphasizes the need to make rapid decisions in the action-reaction cycle of warfare, and the use of commissar has added an unnecessary step in the decision cycle, as commanders have to make sure that not only are their decisions militarily sound, but also that they are politically aligned. Nothing spells military success more than a commanding officer who is looking over his shoulder. President Xi has decided to prioritize political reliability and loyalty to the party over sound military command structures. The PLA is already inexperienced in modern warfare, and this will be another hindrance to its performance. The political officer system performed so poorly in the heat of battle that Soviet Premier Joseph Stalin eliminated the system in 1942 and allowed the Red Army to focus on its primary task of defeating Nazi Germany, which it was able to do. Stalin later reintroduced the political officers in the late part of the war once victory was assured. On the modern battlefield, adding political officers at the expense of operational tempo and flexibility to ensure commands are politically reliable seems like an unusual and faulty combination. So it begs the question, does Xi want a war with his near-peer adversaries, or does he want a politically reliable and militarily strong PLA to make use of military operations other than war, or, said otherwise, soft use of hard power to obtain political ends for China without fighting a major war? Does Xi intend to achieve his long-term objectives without resorting to a war by employing political discipline along with a credible threat to military force?